So I've never done this before, but this online company that sold me this A6 air conditioning compressor has been so rude, and their workmanship is so poor, and they keep saying it's my fault. Well, you can make your own opinion. I'm going to call them out because I've never done it before, and quite frankly, the last email they sent me was so rude that I'm going to show you everything. So let's take a look. Leave a bad review, make a video. We could not possibly care less, as our reputation is stellar and always will be. You will have zero impact on anything whatsoever. So the first air conditioner compressor they shipped me, I don't have because I shipped it back for a replacement. They did do that, but they didn't acknowledge they did anything wrong. And the first one, the clutch failed because it wasn't straight. I loosened it because they clamp it down completely tight from the factory to conceal the fact that the clutches are just absolute garbage. And this one has the same problem but this one has more problems too. But let me just show you. You can see, I mean, the clutch shaft isn't even 90 degrees. You shouldn't be able to see air through there. I mean, when I put it on the compressor, I mean, there's like a 1/16 inch gap on one side. And I sent them pictures of this, and they refused to do it. The name of the company is rockbottomauto, and they're a seller on eBay. I don't know, maybe they have a website somewhere, I'm not sure, but they're just the most absolute rude, inconsiderate company, and quite frankly, I'm tired of companies doing this. So this compressor hasn't even been run because after I hooked it up and saw the clutch problem, I thought, well, I'll throw a charge in it while I'm waiting for a new clutch. I'll either ask them for a clutch or buy another clutch. Well, they never got back to me right away. They did finally get back to me when I sent them several other messages. Said they weren't going to do anything because this was all my fault, apparently. They also sent the wrong thread bolt. I don't know if you can see the threads on there. They just reamed it down in there. It's a fine thread in a coarse hole, or the other way around, I don't remember which, but they just rammed it down into the hole and the threads are messed up. Well, I did fix the threads because that's something I could do, as much as it pains me, but I did it. And so I finally got the thing ready to go and throw a refrigerant charge in it, and I vacuumed the system down, and I could hear this whistling from the front seal. And it was I mean, it was a really loud whistling coming from here, and it wouldn't hold a vacuum. And you know, I could spin the compressor shaft a little bit, and the whistling would stop for a little bit, but then it would pick back up, and the front shaft seal just wouldn't hold a vacuum or anything. And that was a brand new seal right from their shop, supposedly. So this is the kind of stuff they do, and I don't even know if they put in a double lip seal or anything, but they probably put in the junk cheapest seal they can. But apparently they either didn't check the shaft for burrs or anything and just rammed the seal down in, or they didn't install it properly. And this is the kind of experience I've been having with them, and I'm just, quite frankly, I'm frustrated because they took hundreds of dollars of my money and I have nothing to show for it. And they said, I'll read you the quote here, what they said. Anyway, I don't know if they used new clutches or just resurfaced old ones, but whatever they did, these clutches have a rubber outside that holds the center of the hub to the actual clutch. And it doesn't take much for that rubber to melt a little bit if it gets too overheated and, you know, the hub gets off center, or it gets warped or out of balance or out of round or something. And I guess they don't use new clutches or something, because this one, I mean, it's just, it's awful. I mean, it's to the point where if I actually try to run it, it just slips so much that it will overheat the front like it did the last one. And that has several effects of it. Either melts this rubber and lights it on fire, or it, you know, breaks your belt or other things because it's just too hot and overheating. So Rock Bottom Auto, they are basically scammers at this point in my mind, because they sell a junk product and they won't stand by it or acknowledge it or anything. And I have spent, I think this is like, ultimately, I think this is the third bad compressor I've got from them. So this isn't a one-time thing. I've been fighting with this same car. This is the compressor off of my 78 El Camino over there. I have been fighting with this over and over, and mainly it's been bad compressors, but they want to blame it on me, and I'm not sure why. I've sent them photos and I've sent them evidence of their bad workmanship. You can see this thing hasn't even been run. I'm not sure what this dirt smudge is on here, because this clutch is fresh off the thing. I don't, and they paint over everything. You can see, hopefully you can see the paint coming off here. They just basically throw everything together and then they paint it. So not only was the clutch screwed down tight so that it couldn't disengage, but it was, then they just painted over everything. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else I can say about this other than I'm gonna finish this video up by showing you my correspondence with them. And you know, apparently they have no trouble with me doing this, because apparently I have no effect on their business, which I understand, because you know, I'm just one customer in many. But figured I'd throw this out as a warning, because, you know, if you buy from them, be prepared to get absolute garbage. So here's the message I sent after receiving the replacement unit for the bad unit. Finally got around to installing the new unit. Unfortunately, there's some issues, the screw, thread, but I told them I managed to fix that. The clutch on this unit is not going to work. I'm attaching pictures. One side of the clutch is bent, and these pictures are taken after I loosened it and broke the paint seal. It was installed incorrectly by running the nut all the way tight and then painting the unit, so the clutch disc was not only over tightened but also painted solid to the pulley when I received it. I sent them pictures of that. So this is the message I sent them after they refused to respond for a long time to any of my messages. And of course eBay doesn't give you a lot of options, but I put the order number and everything, and I told them how frustrated I was getting because they didn't respond or anything. I wasn't mean about it, I don't think, but I said I'm quite frustrated that you refused to respond in any fashion about your poor workmanship and multiple defects on the latest unit you sent. And I told them that if they didn't respond or anything, I would make a video about my experience. I don't like junk products and all that, you know. I don't like getting harsh with people, but, you know, sure. Well, this is the reply they sent back, and they said, and I quote, "Quite frankly, at this point we have done all that we are going to do to help you. It is more likely an error on your end and not a defective part that is the issue. Leave a bad review, make a video. We could not possibly care less, as our reputation is stellar and always will be. You will have zero impact on anything whatsoever." Oh, and then he says, "Enjoy your weekend." Well, he may be right. I may have zero impact on anything, but I can't help but try. I don't know how they could say that a brand new bent clutch is my fault, because it's obvious that the clutch was never even run. Now let me just say, I understand there are some people who will install things incorrectly, or maybe there's something else wrong with the system that ends up frying the clutch. That can happen on these rubber hub clutches, but on a system where it's clearly never been run or even touched, other than just to loosen it to back it off properly to the proper gap spec, that's ridiculous in my mind. So I apologize for the poor video quality. Again, I'm just making this off the cuff because I'm frustrated and angry. You can see on the picture I sent, the actual rubber part of the clutch has clearly been damaged at some point, and this is before they painted it, because you can see the paint still on it. But I mean, even the gap on the rubber is bad. Here you can see the gap on the clutch. Down here there's literally no gap, and up here there's like a 1/16 of an inch. And again, I mean, the original paint that they put on there and everything is still on there. It's not even touched. You can tell that a V-belt hasn't even been put on this pulley, because all the paint is on there. I mean, a V-belt hasn't even touched that pulley. So to say that it's my fault is just ridiculous. This is funny. This is a logic gate for all you nerds out there. I've been in business for a number of years now. I think we're going on a decade. in business for myself, and I have always done my best to be honest, straightforward, and if I make mistakes, I stand by them and I fix them. And this whole experience has just left me feeling really demoralized and frustrated, quite frankly beaten down. It's been going on so long now that they ran out all the eBay statutes of limitations for even so much as leaving feedback, even if that would matter, which one person's feedback doesn't matter, and quite frankly feedback on eBay doesn't mean anything anymore and hasn't for a while. Just like any other website, I mean, there's so many fake reviews and everything that nobody trusts anything anymore on the feedback, so why would you even bother? But I'm just very, very disappointed in the state of business that we're coming to these days, because these companies can do business from afar with literally no recourse. They can ship you junk, and they can ship you junk multiple times in this case, and there is literally nothing you can do about it. And I'm sure this video in the long run won't mean much if anybody even watches it, but I really felt the need to express my disappointment. And I wish I could say that this was the only company doing things like this, but unfortunately there's a lot of companies out there that have done things like this to me and others, and this isn't something cheap. I don't have a lot of money, and air conditioning isn't really optional down here because I live in Florida and I have a dog, and when he rides in the car and we're sitting in traffic, you need AC or he's going to be really, really hot. So it's not something that I can just say, well, I can do without it, because when it really gets hot here, I can't really do without it when I take my buddy in the car with me. I can sweat, sure, but anyway, I am just this whole situation has me really beat down about this. I'm very frustrated because these AC compressors cost hundreds of dollars, and then you have the time to wait for them and everything, and you got to put a certain amount of trust in people when you buy something online, because this can happen. And I feel like they have really, 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 well, I mean, I know they've let me down. And at this point, I don't know what to do. I can't really drive the car because I gotta put something in place of the air conditioning and button that up before I can run the engine right now, so I can't even drive my vehicle. It's a lot. Anyway, I wanted to make this video maybe just to vent a little bit. I don't know. I mean, if anybody watches it, thank you for watching, and remember, Rock Bottom Auto will probably send you a bad air conditioning compressor if you order from them. When I'm poor, I don't have a lot of money. With a name like Rock Bottom Auto, yes, I expect low prices, but I would expect a working product at least right out of the box, not something that is going to just spew refrigerant right into the environment as soon as I even hook it up, and not even work and overheat because the clutch can't even disengage because they cranked it down too far, and then painted everything together to kind of put lipstick on a pig. I'm not even sure I trust the insides of these compressors anymore, honestly, because I see what a poor job they do rebuilding things like clutches and just even putting the right thread screws in the right holes. They can't even manage to do that. So do I trust the seals inside the compressor? Probably not, but I don't have the time to rip it apart and see. This last one, I didn't even get to fire it up and see what kind of pressure it makes, because I couldn't even fill the system with refrigerant because it leaked. It leaked under vacuum test, and I mean a bad leak. I don't know if I've ever had a leak that bad, especially on a new compressor, where you could actually hear and feel it sucking the air into the front shaft of the compressor. This whole experience, yeah. So, like they said, go ahead and make a video. We don't care. You won't have any effect on us. I probably won't, because at the end of the day, I'm a nobody, and I don't have any money, and I can't go after them. So, I don't even have the money to buy replacement air conditioner compressor, because they kept my money too. Especially as a small business owner, it really brings me down because I go out of my way to do the right thing, you know, and especially if I've made a mistake, I go out of my way to do the right thing and fix that mistake. Not even acknowledging your mistakes when somebody shows them to you is pretty bad, but I guess that's the state we're at now, online companies. And this isn't like a company from overseas or anything. This is supposedly an American company, and supposedly they rebuild these things, and they say they do a good job, but you know, I've got 3 air conditioning compressors now that say they don't. I don't know that any of them worked out of the box without any kind of modification, and I think the first one I got did work for about a year until the front shaft seal started just leaking like a sieve. And I don't know, you know, when you rebuild these things, you got to check and make sure the shafts are not out of round and that they don't have nicks or burrs or anything, so when the new seal goes in, it'll actually reseal. They're using neoprene seals, which is fine, but you got to be real careful installing them that you don't nick them or anything. And I don't think they're using any sort of care or finesse or anything to put the seals in. It's bad, and maybe some people have had a good experience with Rock Bottom Auto, but I can tell you, buying 3 of the same type of supposedly remanufactured compressors, that none of them were any good. They were all pure junk, and they won't stand by their product in any way, shape, or form. So that's enough of me ranting and raving. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I appreciate anything, comments, questions, whatever, and I will be happy to back any of this up with video, photo, evidence, any of the stuff, the parts that I still have. If anyone has any questions or anything that I didn't show in the video, because I mean, I have been documenting this as well as I can along the way, because I've just been incredibly frustrated with each new development. So yeah, it's no fun. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we'll see you next time. Well, when your AC doesn't work, maybe it's time to resort to a nice ice-cold Dr. Pepper. You knew I was going to say that, but I can't help it. I like Dr. Pepper, and it's delicious. And you know what? They haven't ripped me off.